Welcome to today's presentation. In this presentation, we will together explore how wicked the problem of land degradation actually is. After this video, you will be able to understand why land degradation can be seen as a wicked problem, and you will be able to approach land degradation as a wicked problem, but maybe also a wicked solution. I will start by refreshing your memory on what wicked problems are, and I will then provide you with an exercise you can do yourself. As you might remember, we have two different ways of addressing just how wicked a problem is. One on the basis of 10 specific criteria, and the other one on the basis of societal actors involved. The first assessment on wickedness is based on 10 criteria. First, wicked problems are symptomatic, meaning that every wicked problem can be considered to be a symptom of another wicked problem. So with land degradation, you might think of loss of biodiversity, overpopulation, and lack of clean water and air. Second, wicked problems are interrelated. They cannot be understood in isolation. They are linked to other problems, and this makes information on them often incomplete or contradictory. With land degradation, you might think of economic development of a country as a related problem. Third, they are continuous. There is always a better solution possible, and as such, the problem is never fully solved. Land degradation has not popped up overnight. So, what longer-term influences are at play? Fourth, there are no right or wrong solutions, only better or worse approaches. Because people will have different views on the problem. They will also have different ideas about the quality of any solution. There are people that would consider land degradation not even really a problem. Fifth, well, denial is likely to occur. People can experience considerable psychological barriers to addressing the problem. This can make them deny the problem and their responsibility. Well, land degradation is the responsibility of the government, isn't it? Sixth, each wicked problem is unique. It is always related to novel, therefore one-of-a-kind and strongly context-dependent problems. You can be inspired by solutions in other regions, but would the same solution work for you? 7. Wicked problems are associated with a mixed understanding. All involved parties might see things differently, and how one understands the wicked problem determines the way one, of course, can resolve the problem. What is your take on the issue? But also, are you able to understand and even respect that others might have a different take? 8. Wicked problems are without an ultimate test or a solution. So there is no way to decide what solution is best. Ecological restoration takes a long-term time. It is impossible to take all influences on board before starting a project. So, constant reflection on the link between the problem and possible solutions is needed, and it might even lead to new approaches. 9. Wicked problems can be met with approaches, but not solutions. So one approach could be a specific governance structure that helps the parties to be flexible and use new insights from the actual experience gained through the partnership. 10. Wicked problems are characterized by diverse responsibilities. There are always multiple stakeholders involved who have diverging interests and also different explanations for the appearance of the problem. Stakeholders are often part of the problem as well as part of the solution, and thus have different responsibilities. The stakeholders of land degradation are often not located near the affected region, so they are not directly confronted with the negative impact of land degradation. It is important to realize that all 10 of these characteristics are continua. This means that a given problem can score relatively low or high on all 10 of them. What can we say about land degradation in this regard? Well, if we do a quick scan of the problem in general, what characterizes and what characteristics seem most relevant? Well, land degradation is very strongly related to other wicked problems. If you look, for instance, at the Sustainable Development Goals, Goal 15 explicitly aims to protect, restore and promote sustainable use of terrestrial ecosystems, sustainably managed forests, combat desertification, and halt and reverse land degradation and halt biodiversity loss. So, land degradation seems to fit under that goal quite nicely. But other goals such as zero hunger, clean water, climate action, and sustainable cities and communities are also connected to landscape quality. So there are many more connections that we can think of. With regard to this dimension, we could thus say that land degradation is truly wicked because it is strongly related to these other wicked problems I've just listed. At the same time, we can also argue that land degradation likely scores high on the fourth characteristics, which is that there are no right or wrong solutions, only better or worse approaches, and that people can have different views on the problem and on any solution for it. As has been discussed throughout this course, solutions to land degradation are available and there are options to reverse its effects. So, looking at this particular dimension, land degradation might actually be not that wicked. It is also important to note that the wickedness of the issue is very much context dependent. So, looking at the 10th characteristic, for instance, who is willing to take responsibility, will largely vary from one local area to the other. This is dependent on the local stakeholders and their willingness to address the issue. In one degraded area, we might find stakeholders who are very involved and ready to take action, whereas in the other, we might see that stakeholders have very different perceptions about and explanation for the problem. A second technique for assessing wickedness takes this one step further. We look at the three societal sides of the problem: the state, the market and civil society, and we call this societal triangulation. In this assessment, we focus on three specific sources of societal wickedness that can originate in three corners of society: failure, lack of responsibility, and risk. Remember, failure occurs when sectors do not supply the goods and the services and the values they are supposed to provide. Responsibility issues relate to the unwillingness of sector to extend its influence beyond its primary stakeholders. And finally, the risk issues are the most difficult to address. Here, participation of all societal actors is necessary, but not all sectors might feel responsible, willing, or able to engage. Again, note that the wickedness of land degradation is dependent on context. For instance, what a particular societal sector is supposed to provide will differ per country. In some cases, for instance, the land is government-owned, whereas in other countries it is private property. This changes the societal wickedness completely. It also means that there is no standard answer to the question of how wicked land degradation generally is and who should be involved in what way. A major challenge of land degradation is, for instance, that historically specific parties can be held responsible. But what happened a century ago does not change anything today. Such a wicked problem cannot be addressed by naming and shaming, in the hope that parties will take up responsibilities. This is not very likely to happen. Rather, the approach should be how to define a positive agenda in which stakeholders share risk, but also search for positive returns on their investment. So, we encourage you to think about the land degradation area that you are interested in and use the assessments provided here to reflect on the wickedness of the issue and the involvement and the responsibilities of possible stakeholders. This is an assignment you can do for yourself, and that will help you dig deeper into the nature of the issue. It will also highlight you who need to collaborate and how to address the issue. Think about a specific area of land degradation that you are interested in. First, try and score it on the 10 dimensions represented on the first slide. Once you have done this, turn to the 3 specific sources of societal wickedness on the second slide. And think about what sectors are involved and how they are involved. Is this a case of failure, responsibility, or perhaps risk? Write down your thoughts and take time to reflect on them. If possible, talk to others about your analysis and find out what they think. This will help you build a rich and quick picture of the situation at hand. On the Coursera page, you will find a discussion forum where you can exchange ideas and share your analysis with other students of this course. Please use this medium to provide and receive feedback. Best of luck!